going to play a song called, when we heard the theme was Pioneer. This song is called Wish You Well, and it's on the final song on our EP, which is for sale at the back of the room. And it's about basically making your own way and carving your own path. So.
So my name is Jennie McGinn. I'm here today to talk about the theme Pioneer. Some of you might know my story, and some of you are wondering who the hell I am and why I'm here. So just a quick synopsis. Myself and my sisters ran a fashion e-commerce venture called Opsh for the last 5 years. And before that, we ran a shoppable magazine called Prowlster, and prior to that, a fashion blog called What Will I Wear Today. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk a little bit about myself and some pivotal moments in my career before I go into those 3 ventures and then the future. And this is actually the first time that I have spoken since I haven't been running a business. So it was quite interesting for me to put this together, and bear with me if some of it is a little bit garbled, because I suppose this is kind of a profound moment. But anyway, I am a communications graduate, and for anybody who's done communications, most of you will experience having quite a potted and varied career. I did communications in DCU, I did a fashion and lifestyle journalism cert in the London College of Fashion, and I did a master's in cultural policy and arts management. When I was questioning if any of these things was pioneering, I realized they weren't in particular, but it was actually my approach maybe throughout, where there was a common theme. So for example, in communications, pretty much everything I could submit where I could angle it around the representation of women in media and how media impacted girls' self-esteem, I could, and that was about 15 years ago, and that definitely still informs how I think about things today and how I thought about fashion when we were doing What Will I Wear Today in Opsh. In London, the London College of Fashion, I submitted a magazine as my final project that was focused on bicycle subcultures and absolutely nothing to do with fashion at all. And in the master's, which was quite skewed towards traditional high art, so opera and theatre and sculpture, I submitted a research project on Richard Seabrook's digital magazine, Candy. And I guess the point is that wherever I could, I always took the kind of harder route. I took the contrarian viewpoint, and I think that really furnished me with skills for my later ventures in running businesses. So some pivotal moments for me. Future Shorts. When I was in London, I interviewed the founder of Future Shorts, which is a global network of short film screenings. We got talking about the vibrant film scene in Ireland and why there was nothing that kind of showcased short film specifically, and we thought Ireland would be a perfect franchise partner. So when I was 21, I came home to Ireland and I set up my first limited company. It was myself and a group of friends, and we ran monthly short film screenings in different venues all over Dublin. Sometimes they were themed, sometimes there was live music, sometimes we had directors speaking. We did collaborations, we did a pop-up at Electric Picnic, we did a live score of Faust in the Project Arts Theatre. It was very, social media was only in its infancy, so we became very adept at guerrilla marketing, and our monthly posters kind of became a little bit of a collector's item. It was an amazing 2 years, but when a group of creative, passionate friends get together, the less sexy side of running a business can start grinding you down. So, managing the office, managing accounts, managing toilet roll, it can really just wear down the kind of creative buzz. And we had spent so long investing all of our time and money back into Future Shorts. It kind of came to a natural conclusion where we'd done a really good job. We kind of pushed the dial forward on short film at the time, but we all wanted to move on. So the next pivotal moment for me, not only adult string tea. Kildare Library and Art Services had a tender to explore how children and young adults engage with their local library and art services. And I thought, this is my bag. I was absolutely not qualified whatsoever to do such a big body of research. I just had the master's done, but I had no practical real-life experience of research. But they liked my chutzpah and they gave me a go. And what was supposed to be a 6-month-long project turned into a year of equal amounts of magic and wonder at young people and pure unadulterated stress. I was working on my own for a year, and that was tough. But the results were amazing, and it was a project I was really, really proud of. Now, it was a national policy document, and it was supposed to be submitted in quite the traditional policy-driven, policy-written style. And I felt that if you were going to represent young people, you had to do it in a way that they would want and that they would like to communicate and that they would like to consume. So I asked Brian Caldrick, the illustrator, to put the results together in a magazine and submitted a film as part of it. And this was something that was really close to my heart. I was really proud of it, but the year was tough. It was very isolating. It was quite a slog. And again, it really primed me for getting into business later on. So, what will I wear today? This is the first moment where myself and my sisters started to come together. The origin story is that it was 2007 or 2008, and we were on a family holiday. There's 8 in my family. We were on a family holiday in New York, and we were so clueless about the fashion world, we didn't realize that New York Fashion Week was on at the time. There was loads of like glamazons around Bryant Park, but we were none the wiser. And one of my younger sisters spotted Kelly Catrone, who, for those who are unaware, she is the incredibly grumpy publicist on reality TV show The Hills. So Rachel ran over to her, fangirled all over her, and in fairness, Kelly could have called security, but instead, with the look of the Irish, she loved Ireland, loved Irish people, loved our accents, couldn't get over that there was 6 girls. Oh my God, this is amazing, and you're so well dressed and you're well spoken, and surely you do something together because you've such a unique selling point. And we were just, swooning and fawning all over. And we didn't really think about it again until a couple of weeks later, having a big family dinner around the kitchen table, and we thought, you know what, maybe let's give this a go. Let's do something, anything. Grace, who's the most technically minded of us, had come across this little thing called WordPress, and it was kind of like a diary, kind of like a website, really easy to use, and maybe we could put our thoughts together on it and come up with something. And we thought, what's the biggest, what could we talk about? What's the biggest challenge, or what's the biggest talking point among us? And it was like, well, getting dressed in the morning, what the hell do we wear every day? So What Will I Wear Today was born, and it was a hobby. And the most incredible thing about doing that, which is 2007, 2008, so nearly 10 years ago, was just the amount of skills that we learned. We taught ourselves how to use WordPress, how to do a little bit of coding, a little bit of CSS, how to use a digital SLR, little things like how to interview properly, how to do content schedules, how to do social media schedules, how to work with guest contributors. We started to do a little bit of styling, a few photo shoots, videos. Please don't look them up, they are so embarrassing. But that's, the point was we really self-organized and kind of professionalized ourselves. And we were one of the first three or four blogs at the time. I think Darren Kennedy had one, Wisty was around, and the Style Bitches. So because we were kind of first, we were able to build up a really strong audience. People kind of liked what we had to say. Our viewpoint was always insiders, outsiders. We love fashion, but we don't work in the industry, so we're very accessible, and we can be cheeky and have a bit of fun with it. And it just grew legs. We started to get a little bit of media attention. We got invited to loads of press days. We started to win a few awards, including a European award, Only Jeans Best European Blogger. We blagged our way into London Fashion Week. We had a really, really good time over those 4 years. But it reached a point when we were like, whoa, this is like a full-time job, and we're all working or studying. So we're going to call it a day, or else we're going to see if we can come up with some way to monetize what we're doing. And we set ourselves a challenge, and it was around that time, myself and Sarah were in jobs that weren't that stimulating. Sorry, I always just talk about my sisters like everybody knows who they are. But anyway, the two of us were in jobs we didn't really like, and Grace was just finishing architecture in Cork, and we said, okay, challenge. We'll give ourselves a summer, and we will see if we can come up with any commercial idea around what we're doing. So it was one summer, about 300 cans of Diet Coke, a wall-to-wall of white posters in Sarah's apartment in Christchurch. We didn't even ask her flatmate if that was okay. An appalling 3D model of the internet. Grace was an architect, so we thought she could build a model of the internet to kind of see what we would do. And 2 funding applications. Critically, one of them was the NDRC Launchpad program. So that's the National Digital Research Centre's Launchpad program. And we got through. For those who don't know about it, it's an accelerator program for tech ideas that can be transformed into minimum viable products. And it's like doing 10 MBAs combined on Red Bull, blindfolded in space. It is like the most intense thing ever, and it was such a baptism of fire. On the first day, we had to present our business idea to the entire senior management team and the rest of our peers, so around 60 or 80 people who had backgrounds such as 20 years in Microsoft or HP, somewhere in Silicon Valley, or they were on their second or third business. And we had to get up, and we absolutely bombed. It wasn't even funny. It was bad. It was so bad. It was dropping our notes, dropping our pens, presentation broken, 3D model of the internet falling apart as we were speaking, just sea of blank faces, until somebody asked us in the Q&A if, we would consider maybe explaining our business idea in a totally different way. And it was just the most embarrassing day of our lives. But that was it. Kick up the arse. You don't tell the McGinn sisters anything twice. From that point on, we nailed every single pitch. We soaked up every bit of information that was going. And we built something brilliant. So Prowlster was the natural evolution of what will I wear today. With the blog, we were in the business of creating hype and desire and demand. And the next logical conclusion to that is to put the point of purchase right into that experience. So it was about integrating content and commerce. And Prowlster was kind of born out of the idea that you're prowling around online looking to discover something, and you can come to Prowlster and you could read an interview with Hummingbird, for example, whilst listening to their music at the same time, and then buying the dress that one of them is wearing immediately off the page without leaving the site. And that doesn't sound that groundbreaking now, but at the time, I think the Wall Street Journal was one of the only publications that was even exploring that technology. So it was a really, really interesting experience for us. We had, because we were B2C, so we had to build up an audience base. Don't ever do that if you're ever building your first business. It is definitely the most difficult thing to do, because you have to build up an audience interest for it. And we had 3 months to do that. And we did it. We built up a really strong audience. We had really good traffic, really good engagement, really good conversion rates. We worked with about 15 retailers. And so these are all retailers giving us the chance. So the likes of Chupi, Capulet and Montague, Fjallraven Can. And we did some really, really interesting projects. We did a documentary series called This Is Us with Susie Bubble, Kate Moss, that's her there, the illustrator, Jason Phelan, the BMXer. We did the start of what would have been a brilliant series called Food Slut with James Kavanagh. And that was like, James Kavanagh was still working in Think House. The word influencer wasn't even being used at the time. Carabini wasn't a thing, but we knew that this guy was going to be big. And we did like the first shoppable walk-in wardrobe with Retro Flames. So we did lots of really interesting things, and we built up a really big audience. We got an outstanding marketing award from the... I'm just wondering if I've got spelling mistakes everywhere in this, because my... Apologies if I do. But anyway, we won an outstanding marketing award from the Irish Internet Association, and we got into the Irish Times Fusion programme. And in the Irish Times, we were told that Prowlster was just a bit too niche, and that we needed to really think mainstream and think about mainstream advertising products. And we were like, whoa, hang on, I don't think we're not setting this up to get into advertising. And looking back now, we weren't too niche at all. We were just a little bit too ahead of our time. But it was a fork in the road, and we had to decide whether we were going to maybe stop doing cool shit that we loved and start doing less cool shit that made money. So it was a really hard and sad decision, but we had to let Prowlster go. And that brings in Opsh. So with Opsh, what we had to do was think about the biggest problem that the widest group of people shared. And it obviously had to be something that we knew and understood. So we thought, okay, shopping, online shopping. It's supposed to be really simple. It's not, because really what a woman wants to do is an online shopping nirvana, where she will go to one destination and have absolutely everything that she sees tailored towards her tastes, her interests, her sizes, her past purchasing behavior. So if I bought a pair of red jeans, don't show me another pair of red jeans. And critically, that I could, as a shopper, buy my River Island jeans, my COS jumper, my Topshop coat, my H&M bag, and my office boots, all in the one place with one account and one checkout. And that sounds so simple and so obvious and so easy, and it is anything but. It is unbelievably complicated. Not least because the high street, the women's high street, is notoriously slow to embrace change, to embrace technology, and very competitive. Also, we were 3 non-technical founders trying to translate a very, very complex technical product, which resulted in 2 unbelievably expensive and very, very protracted bespoke technical builds that we didn't actually need in the end. And despite all of those challenges, We somehow managed to build up a huge audience when we didn't even have a product, and we managed to convince some major high street retailers to take part in our beta when the product didn't even work. And for 3 Irish sisters at the time who had absolutely no reach into the fashion industry, bar a few Irish pure contacts, we managed to convince Sir Philip Green's stepson to invest in us. So from that moment on, we got the head down and we just grew. We set KPIs, we hit them, we reached them, we went again. We worked our asses off for the 4 years, but really in the last 2 years, we just went hard at it. We grew our team to about 16. We worked with about 30 high street retailers directly. And we started to win some serious awards over here and in the UK. One of the proudest was an industry award from Retail Insights. We were listed as one of the top 50 retail innovations in the UK, and we were listed alongside River Island and Topshop and ASOS, so that was pretty big for us. How's my time? Yeah, but the most important thing for me was we tried to do our marketing and build up our audience in a different way. So our attitude was always collaboration and not competition. It was about being positive and being kind, and I think that we really fostered a new way of doing business, and I think we did a lot to promote other young people working in business. We always tried to work with young Irish talent where we could. I think we did a lot to promote other young women in business. We did events like a real-life Sex in the City event where we got a lawyer, a journalist, an art curator, etc., to get up and talk honestly about what it was like in their respective fields, including, gender pay gap issues and the amount of time it took to put your makeup on in the morning, all that sort of stuff. We did an e-zine called The Fearless Four with the top 4 bloggers at the time, Erica, Tara, Anushka, and Leanne. And it was positioning them as really serious businesswomen, women, which they really were. But at the time, the word blogger was still being used in a really derogatory way. So we just tried to be really, really positive in everything that we were doing. But it reached a point where we had built a product that always required multiple rounds of investment. And with the second round, we were part filled. And then Brexit started to make ripples, and it made our investors nervous. And all of a sudden, meetings were moved, deadlines were extended, timelines were extended, and we were making 12 months investment last 24 months. And to do that, the strain on us as founders was absolutely unbelievable. We had to rapidly change our business model overnight to start introducing revenue way earlier than it was pipelined. We had to start letting people go, and if anybody's ever been in that position, I really just don't envy that task. It's very, very hard. We had to move out of the office. Needless to say, as founders, we had been working without salary for I don't even know how long, and it kind of reached a point, the money kicked it off. The money was the catalyst, but actually what happened in the end was we ran out of energy, and if a founder runs out of energy, it doesn't matter, skills, contacts, passion, all of that goes out the window. If you lose your energy, it is game over. And we made, honestly, the most difficult decision of our lives. At this stage, there was 5 sisters working in the business, and our parents obviously are involved as well. And we had to wind it down. And when word got out, people started approaching us questioning how on earth this had happened, because we were such a success story, it didn't make any sense. And that made it even harder. And then I was pregnant as well when that happened. So there was a lot going on. And as founders, we were 3, 4, 5 women, 30th, 21st, people getting married, people getting engaged, people having relationships with people in the UK. Life goes on, but everything you do is given into the business. So it's a really, really difficult thing to do. And there's a line at which you say, is it worth it? And if we just push through this, maybe we'll make it and we will be that Irish success story. And yeah, we could have been, but we had to just call it a day. Our personal lives were much more important. So it was a year ago. I have since had a baby, Luke. He's 5 months and he's a little dote. I am now back consulting. I am at the moment working with a company that you probably know, Choopy. Myself and one of my sisters are launching Sister the Agency in a little while, and that's kind of we're going to be like a crack squad doing tech, marketing, e-com, and digital for companies who need any one of those things. We'll get in, do the job, and leave. And actually, the real point in that is we have made some mistakes, we've learned some lessons, and we've acquired a huge skill set. And it would be such a shame not to impart that on other people so that they don't make the same mistakes that we did. But just in summation, for me, when I was doing this, I was really kind of exploring what it means to be a pioneer, and it is about being determined, it's about being brave, it's about being a little bit naive, ruthlessly optimistic. Like, you have to be naive and optimistic to do some of this crazy shit. It's about sometimes being a little bit too early and sometimes flying a little bit too close to the sun and getting burned. But I really think that for me, what pioneer means is, in the face of like unrelenting, abject failure, that you can and will pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and go at it again. So that's it. That's the story. Thank you.